how do you use all your athletic training and disciplines and everything that you've learned to engage life from a spiritual perspective?
I think one of the things that comes up for me, athletics taught me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Athletics, working through adversity, staying with the process, but truly understanding myself. And it's a continual practice at a much deeper level through kind of these tests and through these challenges. And I feel like in the gym, which is where so many of the lessons that I've learned have been taught, it's really shown me and taught me in terms of when things are uncomfortable or when you're out of your comfort zone, or when you're fearful or when you don't know if you can make it, when that fear comes up, to lean into it, to face the challenge head on, because what the potential other side you're going to grow from that will happen would be incredible growth.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that is a spiritual process. So through achieving master of sport, while going through those injuries, when I was in it at the time, like it was hard to see the other side.
Yeah.
But now, like looking back, like that was a huge spiritual growth process for me.
Yeah.
So through the athletic kind of adversity and continuing to explore new athletic expressions, I feel they work hand in hand, because through that testing, it's meeting the challenge, it's working through the challenge, it's learning about yourself throughout it, but also having a relationship with that activity to where it's something that I can do for the rest of my life. Yeah.
Well, spirituality, one of the definitions I use of it is when someone's practicing spirituality, it means they're consciously seeking connection to a greater whole. So someone who's overly bound in their ego really only thinks of themselves, right? And then someone who learns, wow, I might be a really good athlete, but I can't get along without my therapist or my coach or my parents or my family support. They grow. They realize, oh my God, I really have to pay attention and respect the needs of the people who support me, or I can't make it alone, because without a good therapist or a good coach or a good mentor or good food or good training equipment, right? We go to the gym, but we forget someone made that equipment. There's a reason I have a Leico equipment in there. I find it to be really good. So in essence, when you realize, wow, Leico's living their dream by creating great equipment, and it gives me the opportunity to live my dream. And so I can expand myself spiritually by reaching out to a company like that and saying, I really value the gift you've given me and the world with your equipment. And you realize, one, people appreciate that acknowledgement, but then you start to find, well, I'll give you an example, and this is what I'm leading to. Look at what you do now. Look at what your injury gave you the opportunity to learn, and now go back to when you and I first started rehabbing you and doing our work together. How many more people are you connecting to because you have something to share with them that was a product of a crisis that you had to be a spiritual warrior and go face into, or you couldn't come out the other side of it?
That's the key point. Yeah, I would totally agree. That's what's been one big part in giving me more of an authentic teaching experience to share with others. So I can relate when someone's been injured. I can relate when someone's focused on one system and thought it was the end all be all.
That happens a lot.
Yeah, especially with coaches that we look up to, or kind of losing our sense of self. Like that's happened to me time and time again. So those injuries has given me an appreciation and empathy more than anything else, being in a job that I knew wasn't my heart's calling for 8 years. And it's like, I have a lot more empathy. If it's anything, it's taught me to have a lot more empathy for people and to connect with people, and to truly, you said something that I feel like really hits home, is the fact that nothing that we do is truly, especially when it's worthwhile, a one-person thing.
No.
I've really been learning the importance of community,
Yeah.
and how like your gifts inspire and benefit my gifts, and how each one of us are a contributing factor to the greater good.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times, even now when I teach, like I remember, I think Bruce Lee said this, first you need structure before you can go structureless. And now when I teach to the best of my ability, I'm usually very organized and methodical when I teach, but now the exercise for me is to be more relaxed when I teach.
Yeah.
And to feel some of the students' energy. And also, really, every single class is quite different because I'm learning from the students every single time. I'm learning from them, they're learning from me, and we're all growing in the process. So it's been a really cool experience to now try to teach from that place. And also, every time I teach, I learn.
Yeah.
So it's been a really cool and enjoyable road in terms of what I'm doing right now.
I'm going to give you a big question.
Oh, shoot.
How is this whole process that you've been through being Mike Salemi for, 30 something?
32.
32 years now?
32.
Has this process changed your perception, experience, or orientation of whatever you think the source of all this is? Life? The source of life. Some people call it God. Some people call it the 0 point field. Some people say, I don't know. Some people think that if you can't weigh it and measure it, it doesn't exist. So we came out of a chemical soup, and they're called scientific materialists. How has your process of dealing with your own pain, facing your challenges, learning things like meditation techniques, visualization techniques, power animals, painting, plant medicines, how has this changed what your perception of whatever's behind the show is?
Man, that was a good one.
Hey, man.
Well,
I gave you a shot of espresso before this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, one thing for certain is a feeling that we're all connected.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
It sounds crazy, but like seeing yourself in another, and more importantly, not even just seeing, but feeling. And I think when you're still enough through meditation work, or especially for me, like plant medicines have been a huge, huge healing benefit in my life, stripping back layers of who I thought I was, and also seeing, once again, that we're all connected.
Yeah.
And that how I treat myself is also how I'm treating you, how I'm treating the world.
Yeah.
And that's also a huge inspiration for wanting to better the world and better myself, because I know that if I better myself, then I'm in turn bettering everyone I come in contact with, or everyone who takes a program, or everyone I meet. And so the biggest thing for me is I would say that it's this ongoing exploration and ongoing felt experience that we're truly all connected. And so that's been the biggest thing that whatever we want to call them, God, the universe, whatever we want to say, that is us. That is me speaking to you right here. That is you looking at me. And it might sound, to some, well, they're listening to your podcast. It doesn't sound crazy or weird, but especially in a lot of the circles that maybe I'm around, the strength and conditioning circles, it's real. Just because we can't see it, just because you said we can't quantify it, it is fucking there.
Yeah.
And it truly is, it is real. So, and it's vibrational, it's energetic, it's a felt experience. And I've just gotten so much more fulfillment out of life, out of the work that I do, out of why I do what I do, the people that are in my life, appreciation, gratitude.
Yeah.
Gratitude and empathy are two big things. So, I'm grateful for that experience, and it's an ongoing practice. Yeah.
I think, I'll close by quoting Osho, because he of his many quotes that I have in my head from studying him for so many years, he really, most people have an idea of what this thing called God is, or spirit, or whatever they chalk it up to. But one of the things that Osho goes into at quite length and with quite good humor is how people get so fixated and willing to fight and kill to defend their belief about what God is. But he says, God is a verb, not a noun. People fight over nouns, descriptive words, but you just described the verb of the experience of love, the experience of connection, the experience of oneness, the experience of community leading to unity, right? Really, it's the unity that makes a community a cohesive experience or even a culture. But people get so busy with what's for dinner tonight and how much money do I have, they forget to pay attention to what is it that's really the invisible glue holding us all together, right? And so I think that we can close today by saying all of this has been to remind everybody that God is a verb and the highest form of God is love, and you're making love when you're doing what you love to do. And if you're working for your dad and your heart hurts, it's your heart calling you, your soul saying, Mike, you're a very disciplined young man and you love your family, but there's a point at which you have to follow your heart or you're not going to go out into the world and truly figure out who you are and why you're here. And when you do figure out who you are and why you're here, you usually figure out why we're all here. And that's the verb. We're verbing together.